Psychological weight is rarely created all at once. It is usually added gradually, quietly, almost invisibly. A small concern becomes ongoing pressure. A simple responsibility becomes constant tension. A temporary challenge becomes a lasting internal burden. A passing thought becomes a repeated evaluation. Over time, the mind begins to add layers. Layers of interpretation, layers of expectation, layers of concern, layers of meaning, layers of identity. Eventually, life can begin to feel heavier than the situations themselves actually require. Not because life is always heavier, but because thought has been quietly adding weight. The mind often believes that adding pressure will improve outcomes, that more concern will lead to better decisions, that more seriousness will lead to more success, that more tension will prevent mistakes. But often the opposite occurs. Excess pressure can reduce clarity, reduce flexibility, reduce responsiveness, reduce creativity. Because attention becomes occupied with managing internal tension rather than responding to external reality, the mind often tries to prepare for everything, to anticipate every possible outcome, to resolve every possible risk, to eliminate uncertainty in advance. But life includes uncertainty by nature. Even the most careful planning cannot eliminate every unknown. Trying to internally resolve the entire future creates ongoing pressure, because the future is not fully knowable. As long as thought believes everything must be internally secured, tension remains, because complete security cannot be mentally guaranteed. Psychological weight often accumulates when neutral situations are interpreted as problems. A quiet day becomes evidence that something is missing. A pause becomes evidence that something is wrong. A delay becomes evidence of failure. A neutral moment becomes evidence of lack of progress. But neutral moments are often simply neutral. Not every moment is a problem to solve. Not every pause is a setback. Not every delay is failure. Life includes variation. Some periods are active. Some periods are reflective. Some periods are transitional. Some periods are consolidating. The mind often tries to turn these variations into conclusions, trying to determine what each phase means, trying to evaluate progress constantly, trying to confirm direction continuously. But development often includes periods that feel quiet, periods that feel undefined, periods that feel uncertain. These periods often support integration, allow understanding to settle, allow changes to stabilize, allow perspective to expand. When the mind stops interpreting every moment as evidence of something, pressure often decreases. Experience becomes more direct, more open, more workable. Not everything needs to be categorized immediately. Not everything needs explanation immediately. Some understanding develops gradually. Some clarity appears later. Some meaning becomes visible only through time. The mind often tries to secure stability through interpretation, trying to create certainty through conclusions, trying to feel settled through explanation. But constant interpretation can create tension, because interpretation is rarely final. New information appears, perspectives change, understanding evolves, conclusions shift. Trying to constantly maintain stable conclusions about a changing reality creates friction. Reality continues to move. Thought tries to hold it still. This creates pressure. But when the mind relaxes its need to constantly define everything, flexibility increases. Experience becomes easier to meet, easier to engage, because attention is not occupied with constant evaluation. Many thoughts are attempts to control how life feels internally, trying to feel secure, trying to feel certain, trying to feel clear, trying to feel confident. But these feelings often fluctuate, and that fluctuation does not necessarily indicate a problem. Life includes movement. Movement includes variation. Variation includes uncertainty. Trying to maintain constant internal stability often creates strain, because experience naturally changes. Emotions change. Energy changes. Clarity changes. Interest changes. Expecting constant stability creates tension when change occurs. But change is part of development, part of learning, part of living. Psychological weight often increases when every change is interpreted as something that must be corrected, something that must be resolved immediately, something that must be stabilized. But not every change requires intervention. Some changes resolve naturally. Some questions dissolve naturally. Some concerns fade naturally. Time often clarifies what thought tries to resolve immediately. When the mind stops adding weight to every experience, life often feels more workable. Because each moment is not required to answer every question, not required to confirm every expectation, not required to define every outcome. Some moments are simply part of a larger unfolding. Understanding often develops through patterns, through repeated participation, through continued engagement, not always through isolated moments. The mind often adds weight through comparison, comparing present experience to imagined ideals, comparing current progress to expected timelines, comparing present clarity to desired certainty. Comparison often creates dissatisfaction, because imagination often produces idealized versions of how things should feel. But real development often includes ambiguity, trial, adjustment, learning, temporary confusion. These phases are not failures. They are part of process. Psychological weight often appears when process is mistaken for problem, when uncertainty is mistaken for error, when neutrality is mistaken for lack of progress. But development often includes phases that do not feel dramatic, phases that feel ordinary, quiet, gradual. These phases support long-term stability, long-term understanding, long-term capability. Not everything meaningful feels intense. Some growth feels calm. Some progress feels subtle. Some change feels almost invisible while it occurs. Looking back, the movement becomes clearer. But during the process, constant evaluation may not be necessary. The mind often tries to maintain constant awareness of progress, constant awareness of direction, constant awareness of development. But progress often continues without constant monitoring. Skills improve through repetition. Understanding deepens through exposure. Confidence grows through continued participation. These developments often occur naturally, without constant measurement. Measurement can sometimes interrupt flow, interrupt engagement, interrupt responsiveness. Because attention shifts from participation to evaluation. Evaluation is sometimes useful, but constant evaluation often adds unnecessary pressure. When the mind stops adding weight, experience often feels more fluid, more open, more manageable. Because attention is not constantly divided between living and interpreting living, you can still reflect, still learn, still adjust, still grow, but without constant internal pressure to ensure everything is progressing perfectly. Life often includes open questions, unfinished understanding, evolving perspectives. These conditions do not necessarily indicate problems. They often indicate development and progress. Not everything needs immediate resolution. Not everything needs immediate clarity. Some understanding develops through time, through continued interaction, through lived experience. The mind often believes that more thinking will create more certainty, but certainty often develops through participation, through exposure to real conditions, through engagement with real situations. Thought can organize information, but experience often provides information. Information reduces uncertainty, reduces speculation, reduces imagined difficulty. When the mind stops adding extra interpretation, experience often becomes simpler. Not necessarily easier, but less burdened, because fewer layers are added. Fewer conclusions are drawn prematurely. Fewer assumptions are reinforced unnecessarily. You can allow situations to unfold, allow understanding to develop, allow perspective to evolve, without needing everything to feel resolved immediately. Psychological weight often includes constant anticipation, constant preparation for potential difficulty, constant scanning for problems, constant monitoring of progress. But not every moment contains a problem. Not every situation requires intervention. Not every experience requires correction. Some experiences simply unfold, resolve naturally, adjust gradually. The mind often tries to ensure everything is going well at all times. But life includes phases where clarity is partial, where direction is evolving, where understanding is developing. These phases do not necessarily indicate something wrong. They often indicate ongoing movement. Movement does not always feel dramatic. Development does not always feel obvious. But participation continues. Learning continues. Growth continues. Even when progress is not immediately visible. When the mind stops adding weight to every moment, participation often becomes easier. Because attention is not constantly interrupted by evaluation, life becomes more continuous, more integrated, more workable, without the constant sense that everything must be resolved internally. You can still care about your life, still care about development, still care about direction, but without needing constant confirmation that everything is progressing perfectly. Participation itself often supports progress. Continued engagement often supports learning. Repeated interaction often supports understanding. The mind often believes that constant pressure improves results, but excessive pressure often reduces clarity, reduces responsiveness, reduces creativity, reduces flexibility. When pressure decreases, adaptability often increases. Responsiveness increases. Insight increases. Because attention is not consumed by internal tension, life often becomes lighter when the mind stops adding unnecessary interpretation, stops adding unnecessary concern, stops adding unnecessary evaluation. What remains is often more manageable than imagined, more workable than expected, more open than assumed. Participation continues. Experience continues. Development continues. Without needing constant internal reinforcement, without needing constant internal pressure. When the mind stops adding weight, life often feels less burdened. Because much of the heaviness was never required. It was added gradually, quietly, almost invisibly, and when it is no longer added, participation often becomes lighter, clearer, more direct, more sustainable. Life continues, without needing to feel heavy in order to matter. If this episode helped you notice how often the mind quietly adds extra weight to experiences that may not need it, consider subscribing to the channel. This space explores how life can begin to feel more workable when every moment is no longer being constantly interpreted, evaluated, or turned into something that must be resolved immediately. If this conversation resonated with you, liking the video helps more people discover that not everything needs additional pressure in order for growth to continue. You can also share this with someone who may feel mentally overwhelmed and could benefit from seeing that some of the heaviness they feel may not actually be required. There are more episodes in this season that continue exploring what becomes possible when the mind begins to release the habit of adding unnecessary layers to everyday life. Experience can remain. Learning can remain, understanding can continue to unfold, but the extra weight does not have to remain. I'll see you in the next episode.